From a startup hack. Today we're diving into Marc Andreessen's explosive interview with Joe Rogan, where he talks and takes aim at the U.S. government, its mounting national debt, and the ripple effects these issues could have on every aspect of our lives. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a software developer, or just a concerned citizen, Andreessen's insights are a wake-up call from the dangers of unchecked government spending to the barriers to innovation created by mismanagement. This discussion is as relevant as it gets, so stick around because we're going to unpack a bunch of key takeaways and what they mean for you. So let's dive into this today. Welcome back to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason. Here at Startup Hack, we train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. So let's break down what Andreessen's most hard-hitting points and why they matter to all of us. Now, Andreessen is from Andreessen Horowitz, who is one of the leading A16Z, or one of the leading investment firms here in the U.S. And he was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they tackled into a lot of really interesting topics. And we're going to cover a bunch of these today and why it is that these matter to you. So Marc Andreessen kicked off by describing the national debt, now over $33 trillion, as a looming disaster. He compared it to a company running on borrowed time with no plan to become profitable. Entrepreneurs, try to imagine for a second that you're going to scale your startup while your resources are drained by massive debt, and it's totally unsustainable. Developers, think about how economically instability could spike costs for tools, platforms, and even electricity. Andreessen's blunt message: the debt crisis is everybody's problem, and ignoring it won't go away. So let's jump over and listen to some of this today, because I want you guys to hear it from his own words, so you're not taking this from me, just from me here. So let's jump in and take a listen to this really quick.
Number two, you can bring down government debt, which means you can bring down government interest. And the government today, the federal government today, pays more in interest than we pay for the Department of Defense.
Right, but how much of that is salary?
No, that's just interest on the debt.
Right.
That's just interest on the old debt.
Okay.
We pay like $1.2 billion a year right now, I think is the latest number, which is just interest on debt. It's not paying for any good or service. It's just interest on debt. But again,
what percentage of that is of the GDP?
Well, the total government spending is on the order of $7 trillion. Interest payments are like 1.2 trillion, something like that.
1.2 trillion.
I think that's the current number. DoD is 800 billion a year.
So 1.2 trillion.
Just off the top. Yeah, just off the top. And again, no tax. Nobody's benefiting from that. It's just interest payments.
That's bananas.
Right. And total GDP is like I don't know. It's I don't know. It's 20, 30, 40 trillion. It's it's much larger than that. But like still,
it's enough.
This is a lot of money. And the total accumulated debt is 35 trillion. And the total accumulated debt is 35 trillion, and it adds another trillion of accumulated debt every 100 days. Yes.
Oh my God! It hurts my head.
There's a Congress.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, that hurts my head. That's just insane, right? Like, we start talking about this level of debt, and it's just something that we've got to get under control, and we've got to get a plan to get this figured out. And that's what Andreessen's pointing to here, right? He says the government spending crowds out innovation. He points out that excessive government borrowing absorbs capital that could otherwise fuel innovation. When the government takes the lion's share of funding, startups and businesses are left to compete for scraps. So entrepreneurs, this means fewer investment opportunities and higher costs for scaling. For developers, it could mean slower adoption of new technologies as companies tighten budgets. So Andreessen's warning: if private innovation is squeezed out, everybody loses. Now, Andreessen didn't hold back on how government regulations protect entrenched companies while stifling startups. And he knows a lot about this because he's funded a ton of startups. So if there's anybody who knows about this, Marc Andreessen is one of these people that you can just absolutely trust when he says these kind of things. Now, these rules he talks about, these over-regulations, are designed to maintain the status quo, making it harder for fresh ideas to break through red tape. Developers, think about how much harder it is to build something groundbreaking when you're bogged down by compliance. Entrepreneurs, this is your call to push back and build regardless of these obstacles. Now, America is becoming a failing startup, perhaps the most jarring analogy that Andreessen made. He likened America to a startup with failing leadership. He pointed to decades of mismanagement where leaders have prioritized short-term gains over long-term stabilities. For entrepreneurs, this resonates deeply. Without a vision and execution, failure is inevitable. So developers, think of it like shipping a buggy code into just to get the deadline. It might work today, but it's going to crash tomorrow. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, let us help you out. Here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer and we can help you out. Now, Andreessen highlights how America's economic instabilities undermines its global influence. Rivals like China are watching and waiting for the U.S. to falter. Entrepreneurs, this isn't just a geopolitical issue. It affects global markets and supply chains as well as funding. Developers, imagine the impact on tech infrastructure if global collaboration suffers due to economic tensions. So Andreessen's point, America's debt isn't just a financial problem, it's a strategic liability. Now, instead of funding innovation, the government pours money into broken systems, and this government spending priorities are totally backward. Andreessen criticizes the lack of investment in transformative technologies like AI and actually really funding clean energy, not like the current way that we've been doing it. And this is an opportunity for all of us to solve problems that the government won't. Developers focus on creating solutions that are efficient and impactful, filling the gaps left by the public sector inefficiency. Now, the private sector has to lead the way because Andreessen was clear about this. The government isn't going to save us. Entrepreneurs and developers are the ones driving real innovation. From AI to biotech, the breakthroughs that matter are coming from private companies, not bureaucracies. If we're waiting for government to pave the way, we're already long behind. Now, the debt is destroying the opportunities. The mounting debt doesn't just burden future generation, it limits opportunities today. So think about the funding that could go into your next big idea, but instead it's just going to service interest. Almost a 20th of the government budget right now is just to service that debt interest. So developers, this means fewer resources for groundbreaking projects and slower progress. Andreessen's advice is focus on lean, efficient solutions that don't rely on external funding. Now, if scaling these ideas feels overwhelming, Startup Hack is here to help. We specialize in optimizing connecting systems so you can focus on what matters most and doing it in a super cost-effective way because we've done this and we're super experienced at it. So don't try to hire a dev team yourself. Let us come in and help you out because we can help you do it in a very efficient and effective way. Now, Andreessen argues that the government regulations often do more harm than good, protecting incumbents at the expense of innovation, which really stifles growth. These regulations are stifling growth. Entrepreneurs, this means fighting harder to bring disruptive ideas to market. Developers, think of it as a challenge. Design systems that are resilient enough to thrive despite obstacles. Now, I want to go to something he says here. And I'm going to jump right into this clip here. So Marc Andreessen's talking about this here. Let's listen to this for a minute.
So look, this goes back to what we were talking about before. Like it is time to carve this government back in size and scope. It's time to take the overall, you can talk about distribution of taxes, but it's time to take the overall tax load down. It's time to take the spending down. It's time to get the government out of the position of deciding who gets money. It's time to unleash economic growth. Like
Elon explained that there's more agencies than there have been years of the United States.
Correct. Yeah, 450 federal agencies and 2 new ones a year. And then my favorite twist is we have this thing called independent federal agencies. So like, for example, we have this thing called the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, CFPB, which was it's sort of Elizabeth Warren's personal agency that she gets to control. And it's an independent agency that just gets to run and do whatever it wants, right? And if you read the Constitution, like there is no such thing as an independent agency. And yet there it is.
What does her agency do?
Whatever she wants.
What does it do, though?
Basically, it terrorize financial institutions, prevent fintech, prevent new competition, new startups that want to compete with the big banks.
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%.
How so?
Just like terrorizing anybody who tries to do anything new in financial services. And
Can you give me an example?
Well, you can say debanking. This is where a lot of the debanking comes from. Is these agencies. So debanking is when you as either a person or your company are literally kicked out of the banking system.
Like they did to Kanye.
Exactly, like they did to Kanye. My partner Ben's father has been debanked.
Really?
We had an employee who
for what?
For having the wrong politics, for saying unacceptable things. Under current banking regulations, here's a great thing. Under current banking regulations, after all the reforms of the last 20 years, there's now a category called a politically exposed person. PEP, and if you are a PEP, you are required by financial regulators to kick them off of to kick them out of your bank. You're not allowed to have.
What if you're politically on the left?
Well, that's fine.
No,
because they're not politically exposed.
So no one on the left gets debanked.
Now, I have not heard of a single instance of anybody on the left getting debanked.
Can you tell?
Now, look, this isn't just a bunch of tinfoil hat stuff. Marc Andreessen is hands down one of the largest investors in all of the US. This is not a guy who's just like saying things to say things. He knows what he's talking about here. And this is something that when you hear something from a guy like this, that's something we should all be worried about, right? It's these are things that we need to be listening to because this leadership matters. Andreessen's critique of government leadership wasn't just about the past. It's a call for new leaders who understand innovation and fiscal responsibility. Now, I'm not talking about the election. I'm not talking about Doge. He is talking about some of that there, but we're talking about actually in your local and having effects of when we trim down the government. This is where we take real leadership here, right? The leadership that matters more than ever. Entrepreneurs, this is your moment to step up. Developers, your work lays the foundation for a lot of this tech change. Build tools that empower and inspire. Now is going to be a great time to move forward. Andreessen emphasizes that the country's future isn't in the hands of the bureaucrats. Right now, for the first time, it's in the hands of builders. Entrepreneurs and developers, this is your time to shine. The challenges are enormous, but so are the opportunities. Andreessen's message, don't wait for permission to innovate. Just do it. America's future depends on the innovators. And we see this with guys like Elon Musk and with a lot of people who are willing to push forward and just innovate. So, lastly, Andreessen stressed the importance of working together to solve these challenges. This is not a time to be divided. Entrepreneurs, build networks and partnerships that amplify your impact and work with some of those that you disagree with, right? We've got to learn to work together. We've got to learn to collaborate. Developers, contribute to open source projects and collaborative tools. Together, we can tackle problems that might seem insurmountable. Now, what are your thoughts to what Marc Andreessen was saying here? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love having a great discussion. We can, even if we disagree, we can still disagree without being disagreeable. So let's make sure to leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out because we'd love to help. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer or hit the links down below and we will catch you guys next time.
Want to become a software developer but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Startup Hack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely and students can start earning while they learn.
Hello, I'm Tom Smith, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack, and I must say that it was an excellent experience. The course curriculum was well structured and covered all the necessary concepts and tools that I needed to start in software development. The tutors is what set this course apart from others. They were knowledgeable, experienced, and always available to help provide me with guidance and support. The course provided real-world examples and studies to help me understand and apply concepts better. The course was very hands-on. The projects were a bit challenging, but very rewarding. It helped me to build a strong portfolio of skills to showcase to potential employers. Startup Hack helped me land my first job as a software developer just weeks after completion. Do not hesitate to take advantage of this affordable and efficient software development course.
Hi, I'm Jacob Nickerell, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack. It was the best decision I ever made by a landslide. In 5 months, I went from a college student who was working at Home Depot part-time to a full-time software developer, all without needing to finish my college degree. The course curriculum was extremely well structured and covered all the necessary concepts and tools that I needed to start as a developer. One thing setting Startup Hack apart from any other coding bootcamp was the quality of one-on-one tutoring available. I received invaluable coaching on real-world problems as part of the program, both via screen sharing calls and chat support. All of the projects that we did were challenging and thought-provoking, but left me feeling very accomplished and very prepared for my first job that I was offered just days after completing the program.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out startuphack.com to code your future and start